Well, good evening. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 19th of November. And so it'll be about the 20th by the time I get this uploaded to YouTube. So what are we going to talk about today? The topic of the day is freedom of speech. This is a Globe and Mail editorial. Let speech be free and kids will learn. What's so scary about free speech? Okay, and teaching in an echo chamber. So why are we talking about free speech today? Well, we had a situation at Wilfrid Laurier University just recently, and a young student who was going back for an advanced course, who was also a teaching assistant, Lindsay Shepherd, gave a course in communications, and she played a particular clip from a TVO agenda with Steve Paikin on transgender and the Bill C-16, and had a debate on there with Jordan Peterson and another University of Toronto professor from the LGBTQ community and a lawyer. And it was a very well moderated piece. It was a very neutral piece, I would say. And you know, when I was growing up, I mean, it really was a big thing to go to university. And I often feel that I missed out because I didn't make it into university. Circumstances and one thing and another. But I thought it would be a benefit to have gone to university, and I guess in the job market it certainly is, because a degree certainly opens doors. But as I have lived my life and seen some of the results that these higher educational institutions have turned out, I'm thinking that maybe a better education is in the University of Life. What I found in many cases, not all, but in many cases, these kinds of educations that people got at university didn't open their minds, but it closed their minds. The courses they did indoctrinated them into a belief system that was being taught at the university, and it seemed initially to expand their learning base. But you know, when they get out into the real world, when those ideas are challenged, I find them very reluctant to let go, because they have so much time and money invested in those ideas and that particular indoctrination. But I find overall, when I look around, that I feel, like I say, my education in the University of Life has done me more good than a university education in institution. And of course I'm wondering now why people even bother to pay to go to these institutions when you can do so much online. In the comfort of your own home, you can learn anything you want to learn. You can even do it anecdotally via YouTube. You can't believe the things that I've learnt going to YouTube. In fact, I've taken Dr. Peterson's psychology course on YouTube just by watching his videos. Why would I pay to go to university when I can learn that information free of charge, and you know, use it to be a guiding principle in my life, for greater understanding, for knowledge. But I mean, you know, if I learn something, say for example, you know, I learned some accounting practices, there's no reason that I couldn't advertise. As long as I don't say that I'm a chartered accountant or anything like that, I can say that I can do accounting. And you know what? If people see my website and they hire me and I can do the job, I don't think they really care whether I have a qualification or not. Like I say, unless you're getting into chartered accountant stuff. But for regular tax prep and that kind of thing, accounting, keeping books, you don't need to have a university degree for that. I can count on one hand the number of people who have A, asked me if I have a license to cut hair, and B, what was my passing mark when I took my exams. They come in, they sit down. If I can do the job, they're coming back. If I can't, they're not. It's as simple as that. We don't have to get complicated about all of this stuff. So this recent incident at Wilfrid Laurier has really just confirmed that these institutions of higher learning have just become dangerous places of indoctrination. And I'm going to give you a little bit of inside information here, and this is basically off the record, off the cuff. Okay, I'm not going to tell you who the person was that came into my store this summer, but he was an HR guy, and he told me that if they see somebody with a women's studies, a gender studies, an indigenous studies degree, they will do anything they can not to hire them. They'll find any excuse they can. And the reason why is because in a company or a business, you are trying to build a team. And these people come in and they are troublemakers. They will break up a team, they will drive person against person, they will ruin your business, he said. So he said generally, and he said, you know, all of the HR departments, they all talk with each other. You know, they discuss these things, when they play golf together or when they go to lunch or what have you. And so that's the word. If you take one of these degrees, you're pretty well guaranteeing that you will not get hired by any good company, because a company is there to be profitable and to have a strong, tight organization. You see articles every week in the business section of how to build your team, how to behave within a team, how to be voice your opinions within a team. Because it's essential that you don't go screaming into someone's face, insulting them, meaningless, inappropriate thing. Does not bode well for internal communications. Okay, so there's a bit of advice for you. Like I say, I'm not going to tell you who told me that, but I do believe what he told me. So you might want to think about that before you spend thousands of dollars on a course that is basically going to ensure that the only work that you can get is in another teaching institution, teaching what you've been taught. Anyway, I'm going to cut to those little clips about Lindsay Shepherd, and I'll let you judge for yourself, and then we'll come back, and there's a couple of other points that I would like to make. Okay, so here we are, National Post, Christy Blatchford. Thought police strike again as Wilfrid Laurier grad student is chastised for showing Jordan Peterson video. Her supervising professor told her by showing the video to her Canadian Communications in Context class, it basically was like neutrally playing a speech of Hitler. Okay, so Wilfrid Laurier University teaching assistant has been identified as transphobic and sanctioned for last week showing her class an excerpt of a video debate involving the controversial University of Toronto psychology professor Jordan Peterson. Here's Jordan right here. So here we are at the Wilfrid Laurier University front page of their website. Values, mission and vision. Wilfrid Laurier University recognises that intellectual inquiry, critical reflection and scholarly integrity are the cornerstones of all universities, including our exceptional institution. We value our intimate community environment, our academic and institutional tradition, new and integrated communities of learning and application, diversity and culture of inclusivity, developing the whole person, mind, spirit and body, community focus and global engagement, a life of purpose and citizenship, learning through experience. Well, that actually wouldn't seem to be the case. Our mission, Wilfrid Laurier University is devoted to excellence in learning, research, scholarship and creativity. It challenges people to become engaged and aware citizens of an increasingly complex world. It fulfills its mission by advancing knowledge, supporting and enhancing high-quality undergraduate, graduate and professional education, and emphasising co-curricular development of the whole student. Guiding principles, responsible governance, community citizenship, realising an appropriate balance among research, teaching and service, recognising the linkage between research and teaching, integrity and strong leadership, making strategic choices for long-term health of the institution, learning and advancing knowledge across boundaries, collaboration and collegiality, respectful relationships, openness to change, sustainability and environmental responsibility. Well, sadly, Wilfrid Laurier is not living up to that particular maxim. Okay, so this is a controversial show that Lindsay Shepherd dared to show in her class, and you'll see it's a TVO with Steve Paikin. It's from the agenda, and this is a very balanced debate here. Okay, this guy here is a professor at U of T. He's a transgender, gay, bisexual lecturer. This woman is a lawyer, I believe. And here's Jordan Peterson. Here's Steve Paikin. And I watched this show. Okay, and Steve Paikin is an incredible moderator. An incredible moderator. And for Wilfrid Laurier to be condemning a show that is on a respected public television network in Ontario, watched by everybody, is absolutely insane. Okay, so this is global news. Laurier University accused of censorship after TA reprimanded for playing gender pronoun debate clip. Okay, so now I'm going to link this below. This is part of the this clever little girl, clever girl. Hats off to Lindsay. She took a tape recorder in there of some kind and recorded the interview. Now just take a listen to this.
It's maybe even threatening.
I don't see how someone would rationally think it was threatening. I could see how it might challenge their existing ideas, but for me, that's the spirit of the university, is challenging ideas that you already have. And I don't know who this came from. I would be interested to see the original complaint or complaints, because I don't really have any context as to what exactly their problem was.
Sorry, can I?
The thing is, can you shield people from those ideas? Am I supposed to comfort them and make sure that they are insulated away from them?
Would you show something in your tutorial that you had, white supremacists and non-white supremacists debating whether or not other people should live in North America? Is that something that you would show?
If that was related to the content of the week and we were talking about right-wing speech bubbles, maybe.
Okay.
It depends on the content. If there's really ideas that are existing out there like that, then, the thing is, I don't see what's transphobic about showing a video of Jordan Peterson. He's a real person. He's out there.
He is a real person, but he is a real person who has engaged in targeted behavior that, or targeting of trans students, in a particular, basically doxing them, if you know the term, giving out their personal information so that they will be attacked, harassed, so that death threats will find them. This is something that he has done to his own students, has done to other students, and this is also something that the students are aware of. So this is basically like playing, not to kind of do the thing where everything's kind of compared to Hitler, but this is like neutrally playing a speech by Hitler or Milo Yiannopoulos from Gamergate. This is the kind of thing that departmentally, in terms of critical communication studies and in terms of the course of what we're trying to do, is diametrically opposed to everything that we've been talking about in the lectures.
And the nature of the discussion we had in class was reflective. So we were thinking about how language affects our lives. And so I presented it neutrally. I wanted to hear all opinions. And the thing is, when you start off with, this guy sucks, don't listen to anything he says, I mean, there's going to be people right there who will not say anything now. You've silenced them because they're now not willing to say what they wanted to say. And so I just wanted to open with any ideas are welcome here. And that's, in the eyes of Rambucana and Pimlott and Joel, the people who brought me into the meeting, that's what was wrong, is I didn't condemn him right off the bat.
You should have condemned him.
Yes.
But then you don't get into the critical thinking ideas.
Yeah, no, they don't want it to be critically thought of. They said there's no debate. And they, even though Jordan Peterson is a professor at the U of T, they said he's not academically credible. Not academically credible. I don't even know what was in the complaint. They won't tell me even what it said.
They won't say the student felt uncomfortable, they were angry with it, they disagreed.
No, I don't know their emotion. All they told me is it's about the Jordan Peterson video. And that's all I know.
But no context as to why they disagreed with it.
No, and that's why I'm kind of flabbergasted, right? Like, I need to know in order to maybe actually take this into account and think about how I design my lesson plans. I need to know the specifics, right? Their position was that I had done something so terribly wrong.
Okay, so while the university said the meeting took place, they didn't comment on it or respond to a request for an interview with Global News. In a statement released by the President and Vice-Chancellor Deborah McClatchy, she said that the university champions a civil debate of competing ideas, free speech and freedom of expression. Well, I think I would question that, Deborah, because what you're saying doesn't marry up with what you're doing. And thank goodness there are plucky young people like this who will speak up to this kind of bullshit. And that's exactly what it is. It's bullshit.
It seems that if you don't meet their ideology, then they're going to cut you loose. You're not part of their diversity. Diversity of ideas is not what they support.
Are you surprised? Were you stunned when you heard about this story originally?
I was shocked. I was shocked that it was so blatant. I was shocked that Lindsay had the fortitude and the smarts to actually record what was going on, because people wouldn't believe it other than that. If we as a university really believed in free speech, and if we've been underlining that all the way along, this wouldn't have been an issue. But increasingly here at Laurier and at other universities, we are censoring students, we are censoring faculty who don't meet the party line in terms of a particular ideology.
Are you worried about speaking out yourself, supporting her? There's only 4 or 5 that have actually called her.
Somebody's got to stand up for these people. Somebody's got to stand up for themselves. And if we don't start speaking up, we're going to eventually lose the institutions completely to an ideology and to indoctrination. And that can't happen. It's completely inappropriate that they compared her to Hitler. Because here's the idea. I see increasingly many of my colleagues using those kind of dramatic comparisons to Hitler, to other totalitarian regimes, but they do it in order to silence others. They use this label so that they don't have to come up with facts that are better. And the other thing is, if you call somebody Hitler, then it leaves the impression that you should do to these people what you should do to Hitler. It's really escalating the situation to a point where it's dangerous.
Okay, so as I say, I'm going to link that below and you can go listen to all of the stuff yourself, especially this one. Okay, this is the meeting that she had with the university senior administration, and it is staggering. It's only 9 minutes and 55 seconds long, but it is staggering. The depth and breadth of the pig-headedness of the Philistine thinking of the people who are in charge of the university. It is staggering, absolutely staggering. Okay, so this is Catherine Fieldbeck, a political science professor at Dalhousie University in Halifax, told the Canadian Press that she encourages genuine debate in the classroom. She said failure to do so not only shortchanges students by leaving them without the skills to think critically in real-life debates, but may also drive those who feel their views are not welcome to seek out more receptive audiences, such as communities of online agitators or active proponents of hate. Shepard's approach of neutrally presenting a debate to prompt further discussion was exemplary, she said, adding it was in keeping with the true spirit of academic freedom. Some understand academic freedom to mean that they can say anything about anybody at any time. That's certainly not the case, she said. It has to be germane to your area, and there has to be good reasons offered for what you are doing. Shepard has now put forth her lesson plans to her supervisor before her tutorials, and faculty members will be monitoring her lesson plans going forward. And just to round out here, everyone is entitled to their opinions, Pimlott said, but the university has a duty to make sure we're not furthering Jordan Peterson. They were oblivious to the fact that they themselves were proving him right by holding the 2017 equivalent of the struggle sessions so beloved in Mao's China. Shepard is now sufficiently disillusioned, she told Postmedia Friday, that she is about 70% sure I will be leaving Wilfrid Laurier after this semester is over. None of Rambuka, Pimlott or Joel replied to emails from Postmedia. Now that you know what an absolute disgrace Wilfrid Laurier is as a university and a higher teaching institution, we must now ask the question, why is free speech and freedom of expression important? Now, these ideas are not just a right. Okay, these ideas are foundational. This is how we learn within our society. I would say that if there are two things that define a civilized society, I would say is the rule of law, which would mean a functioning justice system, and freedom of speech and expression. We cannot grow without freedom of speech and expression. So it's not just a right, it's an integral part of our mechanism that guides our society, so that people with extreme ideas get outed very quickly because we've allowed them to speak up. So we can hear what they have said and tell them that that is completely inappropriate. Okay, but we have to see that. If we don't see that, that goes underground. It finds other avenues to express itself, and these avenues are often through extremist groups. Okay, so when you shut down freedom of speech, you pretty well guarantee that we're going into extremism on both sides. It is so dangerous when universities play this game, and you heard one of the other professors there saying that this is happening all over North America. I've already read several stories of professors being fired or forced to resign from their position after years and years and years of good work and tenure over a minor issue. Maybe 20 people complained, and the university administration immediately took the side of the 20 signatories and basically hung out their professor to dry on the line. So this is reaching dangerous proportions, and this is why I'm speaking out about it and basically conveying some information to all of you, even though I only have a very small listenership. If I can express to you and get you concerned about what has taken place, because I didn't realize how far this postmodernist feminism ideology had gone, and how divisive and how angry and how filled with hate. I mean, it's so ironical that these people are saying that they are the ones that are inclusive and that they don't recognize any division between gender and race and so on and so forth. These are the racists. These are the ones causing all the trouble. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, they are causing dangerous divisions in our society. And we need freedom of speech, we need a good justice system, we need a rule of law that functions. And even that seems to be failing through this whole political correctness movement, where there are certain groups in society are getting favoured over others. You know, that's why the statue of justice is blindfolded. They hold the sword and the scales to mete out punishment, but to offer a balance of blind justice so that everybody gets a fair trial. So I hope you will join me to try and stop anyone or anything that tries to prevent freedom of speech and freedom of expression, even if those things being expressed are distasteful. Remember, if something is distasteful to me, what I'm saying is probably distasteful to them. Okay? So if I expect them to put up with what I'm saying, I have to give them space to say what they're saying. Now, that doesn't mean that they can dominate the stage, and that doesn't mean that they can use violence to force that ideology upon me, or I upon them. Okay, this is a free exchange of ideas. This is what got us here. This is what created the society that we have today, with all of the wonderful amenities that we enjoy. Roads, lights, digital cameras. I'm not quite sure why these beacons of education are trying to destroy that. Okay, do they not know the risk they are taking by undermining these institutions that have basically held our society together for centuries? My advice would be to think very carefully before you abandon these institutions, and you abandon the lack of bias within those institutions. Freedom of speech and a fair trial. Okay, so I hope you've liked this video. I know it wasn't very upbeat, but there you go. I mean, some of these things we have to talk about. If we're going to fix them, we've got to talk about them. We can't be hiding them from each other. We have to express ourselves, and we have to discuss these issues so we can come to some practical resolve that we can all live with. So if you have liked this information, please like and subscribe below, and click that little bell so that you'll get all of the updates. And in the meantime, this is the Hound Dog, Steve, signing off, and hoping that you have a very pleasant week ahead. You take care now. See ya.